Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at one of the recent trends or upcoming trends of Dota 2. That trend is Offlane Terrorblade. If you don't believe me, a lot of people are playing it. Dahawk is the main person who's been popularizing it. He currently has a 76% win rate over 13 matches, right? So look at this. Insane. And he only got better. He lost his first 2 games and then seemed to, I guess, figure it out because he won the next, 10? Crazy, just about. On top of that, Amar's been trying it out, so you know what I mean? It's getting around. People are giving it a shot. And so let's talk about it. This build revolves around Pipe of Insight. There are some other variations of the build, but we're going to be talking about the Pipe Manta build, which seems to be the most standard. However, I do have my own opinions on what might be better, so let's actually get into it. All right, on top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. In the laning stage, the main time you want to pick this is against the meta heroes. It's actually really good against a lot of the meta heroes. It's really good against Luna in lane because Reflection destroys her and it's good in the game. Same thing with Medusa. You're very good against Medusa. I would say you can't sunder her throughout the game, which sucks because her HP pool is fake. However, you're good against Medusa in the lane. You're good against Luna in the lane. You're okay against Alk. I think that's a matchup where you can copy his Radiance, which is kind of nice. This isn't the best lane. He's against a Weaver Clock. I would say this is actually kind of one of TV's weaker lanes because Weaver doesn't die to Metamorphosis and Clock does a lot of magic damage. These are the 2 weaknesses of Terrorblade. So the game we're watching is not a hand-selected game where he 1v9s the early game and then you could pick any hero because you're 6-0. No, this is actually a game where I think Terrorblade doesn't look that good early on. In fact, his game matchups are pretty hard. There's a lot of magic damage. There's a Tiny, a Doom, so you can't use Sunder, Visage, Soul Assumption, you know what I mean? It's not an easy TV game. So, okay, starting items, he's got a stick, 3 branches, Tango Quelling. I think you can go Wand 3 branches. You can also go Bracer components with stick and 2 branches. So there's a few different builds you can go. He's going the very, very greedy build. I think this build is okay, but if you really want to play to win the lane, you want to buy a Wand and a Bracer. These are going to be the most efficient items. After that, you're going to want to buy raindrops. In this lane, it's less important for him to have raindrops because he has a Coddle, right? This is a very specific situation where he needs a lot less mana. However, raindrops really important on this hero. Once again, you're bad against magic damage and you will have mana problems. So in the lane, what's really strong about TB is you're super fast at 315, crazy base armor, but this has always been the case, good damage, and then Reflection is only 35 mana. So essentially, it's a 15 attack speed slow, 15 movement speed slow, and it doesn't cost essentially any mana. So you can spam it every single time you want to trade, and that trade will most likely be favorable. Then from there, when you use meta, typically you want to pair it with whatever your position 4's disable is. Coddle doesn't really have a disable, and as a result, it's totally fine for him to just use it for last hits in this lane. I think maybe he was thinking about trying to get a blinding light on the Clockwork there, but yeah, it's just not a great lane, so this meta is sort of ends up being defensive. It's really not some crazy meta that's going to dumpster the game. But yeah, it can win you some CS if the matchup isn't great. Skipping ahead for skill build, at level 4, you're going to take 2 points Reflection, 1 point Illusion, 1 point meta. You're not going to be maxing your meta with this build, at least not early on, as he continues to spam with the Reflection. And this ability is just really good. It's just straight up a strong ability. And a big reason why TB is going to be potentially an offlaner or can be played as an offlaner is because at level 10, he has the buffed 5-second reflection cooldown, bringing it to a 9-second cooldown. Because a lot of people will say, oh, Speed, you're saying it's a Luna counter, it's a Medusa counter, but they buy Manta. So they're just going to dispel it because this is a dispellable ability. Yeah, but at a 9-second cooldown, Manta is what, 34? You can't dispel, it doesn't work like that, So this ability is kind of crazy. Now, for the next few items, he's going to be going Pipe. He's going to buy Headdress. I really like that you can buy the Headdress like this because of the fact that you just need regen on TB. This hero just doesn't have any way to sustain until you have Sunder, which that's not really sustain. So yeah, he's going to pick up the Headdress for Pipe. Then he's going to work into Pipe components. Again, these items are not very good for stomping the lane. It's much, much better to have Bracer, Raindrop, and then go Headdress. This is more of I guess he just feels that there's some sort of mid-game timing and he's playing for it. Another nice thing about TB offlane is Sunder with the Condemned facet is just so good at defending yourself. It's also a big, big threat because if you're 1 HP and you Sunder the enemy, it puts them to 1 HP. So it's really, really scary for people, this Clockwork just gets put to 200 health, right? Super scary ability. And it's only an 120-second cooldown, which I feel like it's just not that long, you know? Considering how strong this ability actually is, it puts the Clockwork in a very awkward position. You know, he's kind of stuck at 200 health now. He's back to full, and he actually ends up farming the jungle. And this is something you can do in a bad game. In a good game, you're going to look to put a lot of pressure. You're going to want to play up on the map. You're going to want to try to kick the enemy safe laner out of lane, take their tower, so on and so forth. Because this hero starts to farm really fast. So if you can kick the enemy carry out of the lane, you can begin to cut the wave here, take this camp, right? TB is a hard carry at the end of the day, or is traditionally a hard carry, and so you can begin to flash farm at this point in the match. And for skill build, I don't really like 2 points in illusions. I get it though. He probably feels that he can't really pressure Weaver with reflection, so he's just maxing out the contra image now so that he can actually jungle. And yeah, that's what's nice. You can take this camp, you can take this camp, and you can farm Ancients on this hero. You can absolutely, if you get a regen neutral item, especially with 2 regen items, you can absolutely farm Ancients. As he does TP mid here, this was a funny one. He just gets doomed and dies. Yeah, Doom Tiny Visage. That was not his best decision, I will say. So coming in at minute 13, he gets his pipe. At minute 14, he's going to look to make his first rotation. Also, I'm excited to talk about the next item because it's really game-breaking and it makes this hero viable. So he ends up TPing mid here. This was a good decision. Tiny's heavily out of position. Gets him with reflection. Maybe he wasn't needed, but it's fine. Once you have pipe, you want to connect to the fights. You want to look for these tower dives. The enemy team ends up committing on a coddle here, which was just a huge mistake. I mean, he has a pipe, so he's able to come over. And now he's actually tanky, because now that you have pipe, you have a real HP pool. You can actually frontline. And this is why TB was played as a hard carry. The hero tends to have very, very low HP until minute 20-something, right? But now with this build, if you're on Strength Treads, and also you can buy Falcon Blade. He didn't do that this game. But if you're on Strength Treads, Falcon Blade, Pipe, you're stupid tanky. And you can easily frontline, get gone on, and get off Sunder. So you can actually participate in the early game with this level 10 talent. And this is where the hero starts to become much more viable because this reflection ability, guys, it's just a really good spell. It's an AoE slow and attack speed slow. It's 100% of their right click damage as the damage reflected. It's just good as this pipe comes back up here. Reflection onto the Visage. It's going to deal a lot of damage with illusions. He's able to bully that guy out. Does have to kite out a bit here. Picks up his shard. We'll talk about that in a second. Another 2-man reflection. And look at the damage on the Weaver. It forces him to defensively Sakuchi. This ability just is that good. It will kick a lot of right clickers out of the fight, at least temporarily. But by the time they're back in the fight, it's back up. 50 mana, right? It's cheap. It's low cooldown, which again is why buy raindrops and consider buying Falcon Blade. You do need mana. This game is kind of fake. I'm just making a real clear point of it because like you will run out of mana. This hero needs a lot of mana, especially with pipe. You don't have enough. You need clarities, raindrops, and a Falcon Blade, and hopefully jelly, and then maybe you have enough. But as the fight continues on, it's just reflection after reflection as another one comes back up here, finds a Visage, kills him off, has really high cast range, and would you believe it, it's back up again, and it almost kills off the Doom. Just barely doesn't get him, but it's back up again, and another one onto the Clockwork. And you can see why this hero's a good fighter. It's straightforward. You just click Q. That's it. All you gotta do is click Q. And you also have to stay alive, which is why you might be tempted to say like, oh, I'm gonna buy the Fusel Blade, or I'm gonna buy like some Yasha. Don't do that. You just need to stay alive, right? Don't do that. Even his next item, I'm a little bit skeptical of, so he's gonna go Yasha. And my opinion is that like when you have pipe, when you have an item that gives you flat resistance, 20% resistance, and then 8% from the passive, and even HP regen, it's really good to pair these stats with health, right? Because magic resistance works well with health. The more health you have, the more effective magic resist is. And so I kind of disagree with the item in this regard. I would almost prefer to see him buy the stat item from Manta first, just to make sure he doesn't get bursted by things like a tiny clock or just some sort of synergized go from the enemy, which is why he gets really blessed when he gets Pupil's Gift, which is one of the most broken neutral items in the game for Terrorblade. It gives you 300 HP and a massive mana pool. So if you get Pupil's Gift, you take Pupil's Gift as tier 2. It's not even a question. This fight was a really cool fight. I think it's a great example of how good this hero can be. Funny enough, you can sunder your allies if they're doomed. It's one of the only interactions in the game that saves from doom. And yeah, Offlane TB is one of them. So pops the pipe on the Storm, 3-man reflection, which is going to deal a lot of damage, and it's a huge, huge slow. His Storm gets a little bit low. He's kind of fighting. Gets another reflection because Coddle chakred him, which is kind of a cool combo because it also lowers the cooldown of Demon Zeal. We're going to talk about that next. Meta, Conjure Image, and Reflection, right? It's really awesome how much you can do, but yeah, ends up sundering the Storm here, and you'd think, okay, he's kind of out of the fight, but with Pipe, you have a lot of HP regen, and so kind of in no time, you're back up to a somewhat comfortable amount of health if you wanted to fight again. And in between the fights, TB tends to have a sustain issue. Like, I remember when I played TB carry, you would have to buy salves to stay on the map sometimes. You don't have to, because you have a Pipe. On top of that, now let's talk about Demon Zeal. It's the shard, and he buys it immediately after Pipe. Why is it so broken? Well, it was recently changed. It is a 30-second duration ability, 60-second cooldown. It costs health to use it, 20% of your health, of your current health. So if you're low HP, it takes less health. And then it gives you 20 HP regen. 20 HP regen. That's a crazy stat. Pipe gives 14. 20, 100 attack speed, which is 40 less than Moonshard, and 100 movement speed, which is insane. Now keep in mind, you can only use this in melee form. If you click Demon Zeal and then click meta, it ends the Demon Zeal. But basically, it lets this hero be a flash farm and kiting beast in teamfights, and you can imagine why it's actually good, right? It just makes you stupid fast, right? You're ridiculously fast. You have a ton of attack speed, so you hit really hard, and you have a ton of HP regen. Yes, it costs health to use it, but with the Pipe regen and the Demon Zeal regen, you regen that health in almost no time, probably in about 5 to 10 seconds. It's not hard at all. And so yeah, this Demon Zeal facet is straight up broken. It makes melee Terrorblade actually a hero, where typically, without meta, your hero is kind of a bot. So as the next fight breaks out, I don't know why the Doom isn't dooming him. Doom really should doom him, because this Terrorblade is basically a spellcaster, and he has so much HP regen, so dooming him is really good. Like, I don't think Doom Terrorblade is a good matchup at all. You might be like, oh, you know, it's good, you can sunder the Doom target. Yeah, but your hero's kind of a frontliner with this build, and you really don't want to get doomed. Like, yeah, you're tanky, but a lot of your survivability actually comes from your 48 HP regen. 48. Like, what is that number? That's like a Heart of Tarask gives like... Heart of Tarask will make the number like 60. This build, like the Shard and the Pipe, just puts him to like 50. Pretty unbelievable, but yeah, team fighting, pretty straightforward, guys. You kind of just play around the queue. You don't even have to auto attack. I mean, he is here, right? As the fight breaks out, he's killing off the Weaver bug, trying to kill off the SD bug, gets a 3-man reflection, huge slow, a lot of control, helps them kill off the Doom. Sunder onto the Storm, does kite out afterwards, was a little afraid of getting bursted down. Reflection onto the clock, helps finish him off. Reflection back up in 2. Okay, he's gonna kite out. And then for his final item of the game, he ends up queuing up a Butterfly. Again, I don't know really how I feel about this. He's trying to scale into a right clicker. I personally feel at this point of the game, again, it's good to buy a mana item. So I think Orchid is really good. It kind of pairs well with Reflection. It's like a lot of disable. It builds into Bloodthorn. And with Bloodthorn, you have Conjure Image illusions that proc it and Mantle illusions that proc it. So I think the Orchid Bloodthorn build is really good. Or you can just buy a bunch of stats so you can be a frontliner. Like Hurricane Pike, I think is really, really good. I think Scotty is fine. I think Butterfly, I don't know, like this game to me seems really weird because you're against Doom. Like he should just get doomed because he's not that tanky with Butterfly, you know? So I'm a little skeptical of this item build, but it's obviously reasonable. It's not like Butterfly is some bad Terrorblade item. It just makes you hit really hard. Last team fight, pops his Demon Zeal. Doesn't have meta, but it's fine. Can kind of run in. Is kiting out a little bit, probably a little afraid of getting doomed. Gonna zone out the Weaver. So much attack speed. It's kind of another reason why I almost feel with this attack speed, maybe you just buy like Daedalus as well, if you want to go damage, because you already have so much attack speed. You don't really need Butterfly attack speed when Demon Zeal is active, so things like Daedalus are probably, or even Diffusal. I could see Diffusal being really good. I thought about that earlier too, like Manta into Diffusal. There's a lot of synergy because the illusions also get the mana burn, so I think Diffusal could be super great, because Disperser is wonderful against Doom this game as well. And, oh, another Sunder. He's having a defensive Sunder a lot, which I don't really like. I think it's kind of sad to have to do that. It kind of takes you out of the fight for a little bit, but you have so much HP regen. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. This is just it's just a cool trend. Oh, I'll talk about the talents quick. I think at 15, the meta cooldown is probably better on average. However, Reflection, Slow, and Damage is no joke when you're spamming it this much. At level 20, both are really good again. 10-second Conjure Image duration, like keep in mind, it's a 34-second duration. It's almost 30% longer. It's quite strong, but most people take all stats. At level 25, again, both are pretty good, but I would lean towards the Sunder cooldown because of how good Condemned Sunder is. 10-second cooldown where there's no minimum health threshold for Sundered enemies, so you can just bring them to 1 health if you're that low. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Give this a shot. It's really not hard to play. The laning is really good. The game plan is pretty straightforward. it's just strong. It's cool, it's strong, and I'll see you in the next one.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!